People keep asking if I'm back, and I haven't really had an answer. But now, yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
John Wick just told y'all I'm back. It's the truth. And, you know, I just really want to get to why I stopped doing YouTube so much. And I got discouraged. And it was because, you know, I was putting out content that I wasn't happy with. And I was just putting out content trying to do things that wasn't me. And I just got to a point and I just kind of said, fuck it. And, you know, I'm gonna put out what I'm gonna put out. And, you know, if you like it, great. If you don't watch it. And that's kind of where I'm at now. And I'm at a different place. You know, I was dealing with some really severe depression, you guys. And it wasn't because of YouTube, but it was because of a number of things. This guy's walking by looking at me like, what are you doing? But I was dealing with some things, and you know, it's important in your life to just kind of get centered. And I'm at that point now where I've kind of centered myself and kind of tried to get my shit together. And, you know, not everybody can pull out of their depression. I'm lucky. I was able to, you know, take a L and bounce back. But, you know, not everybody can do that. You know, some people like, damn, you know, I'm like, really? I need to talk to somebody. I need to get on some medication. I really need some help. And, you know, my wife, she's been there for me because I've been going through some things and really reevaluating my life and my goals. And I just didn't have the desire to post or share anything. And I recorded a ton of stuff, and I just didn't have any desire to put it out because I just didn't think any of it was really me and me getting out and showing who I am and what I like to do. You know, when I first started doing this whole video thing, I'd already been doing it professionally for years, but when I started doing it, it was an outlet, creative outlet for me to goof off and have a little bit of fun, but also to share some knowledge and to kind of update people and share who I was. And I got away from that, unfortunately. And I'm embarrassed about it because, you know, I try to consider myself a bit of a leader, especially I can give good advice, but not always follow, that kind of person. And I'm just trying to get back to that, and this is so therapeutic to talk to you guys about real life situations and about who I am and how I'm going to continue to be a better me. And it starts with these videos. It starts with being back, damn it. It starts with, you know, just showing you guys how I'm living on a day-to-day basis. So without further ado, I know you've been waiting for it for a while. Let's talk about some controllers. And what I want to talk about and what I'm going to intro is my nephew's got a controller that's gummy as hell. He's been playing with it now for about 2 years, and I'm talking about putting in about 6-7 MLG Gamma Lab hours on that guy. I mean, sweat, he's going in, playing Final Fantasy, playing Destiny, playing Overwatch, playing Call of Duty. I'm gonna go in this video and I'm gonna show you how you can clean a controller out and how you can make it like brand new again, because that's the goal. Is all of his inputs are a little gunked up, so we're gonna degunk everything. We're gonna take it apart. I'm gonna look at everything. I'm gonna examine the rumble motors. I'm gonna examine the buttons, the face buttons. I'm gonna get all the dirt out. And in order to do this, you really don't need much. You need a few Q-tips and you need some alcohol, and the higher the percent the better, just so it evaporates a lot quicker. And you need some canned air, and we just want to check everything, specifically the analogs, to make sure they're working correctly. So I'm gonna get ready to cut to that. If you have any questions, let me know. This is how you maintenance your controller. I recommend everybody break their controller down after about a year just to check it if you want to keep it in good working order. I do this with all of my controllers, and if you follow these steps, you should be a-okay as well. Alright guys, I promised you a controller video, and do I have something special for you. In this one, we're going to be taking apart and maintaining one of my nephew's controllers. I'm looking at it right now, I'm like, oh my god. But we're going to be taking this guy apart, we're going to be maintaining it and making sure that everything inside is running tip top. We're going to get all the dirt and grime off of it and try to bring it back as close to new as possible. So I'm going to show you how you can do that yourself. We're going to take it completely apart, and to add a little bit of a twist, we're going to do the whole thing in about 12 minutes. So I'm gonna set the timer here. We're gonna get started. We're gonna break it down. Here is the actual controller here, which is pretty cool. And it is got some issues. I'm looking into the viewfinder right now. I don't know if if it's registering here or not with my vlogging camera. But this controller's got some nasty. You'll see it once we get closer. We're gonna get this thing going the right way. We've got a couple tools to help us. We've got my screwdriver, and this is my Husky screwdriver. It's got a lot of different types of points on it. Got a couple different Q-tips right here that you can see, and I've got some alcohol, and this is 91%. And I just like that because it evaporates really easy. I'm gonna set everything up, set this camera up so it can see what's going on, and I've got another camera right here that's gonna be rolling so you can get an over the shoulder view. We're gonna get this thing crunk up, and hopefully we can make it within 12 minutes. So I'm gonna start recording, and then I'll tell you guys when I start the timer so you can start your timers at home as well. So stand by. All right guys, so to make this process even harder, I've got everything set up. As you can see on this camera right here, I'm gonna be working with a camera directly in front of me so you can see every beautiful moment of this setup. I'm gonna move my alcohol to the other side so it does not interfere with your viewing angle. I'm gonna have my daughter go ahead and hit start in a second, but I wanna show you a couple different things about this controller. I don't know how well the camera's picking it up, but there's a lot of grime down in here. There's some grime around this button here. There's grime all around the seals, and this controller's been well used. Like I said earlier, he plays a lot of games with it, and he's not stopped at all to clean it. He's even had an accident with some paint thinner. So we're gonna go in here and we're gonna try to revitalize it, especially the way it looks, but also it's important to keep the dirt and grime out of these areas where the buttons actuate, because that can cause a failure. And that's what a lot of you say, sometimes your buttons get stuck and get sticky and don't work. That's why, because we have natural oils on our hands, or sometimes we may not wash our hands before we pick up our controllers. A lot of people don't do that, so you have dirt and grime that will accumulate down in here, and it'll cause this stuff to stop working, especially like these analogs. So we're going to take this apart and clean everything, and I'm just going to show you the process and let me know what you think. So let's hope I can get this done. How many minutes we have?
12.
12 minutes? You ready to start?
Yeah.
Go for it. All right, we got 12 minutes. So let's see if we can get this thing apart and ready in 12 minutes. Hopefully we can. And I didn't even cheat and take the screws out. So I'm just going as fast as I can because I'm really comfortable with taking one of these apart. You don't want to go so fast that you're losing stuff. So let's keep everything in front of us. And it's even harder because I gotta look around this camera, and I'm also trying to show you guys. So hopefully we can do this in 12 minutes. Get that done. Ooh, come on. I don't want to blow more than about a minute cracking into this controller. So the next thing I'm gonna do is go ahead, and you can see this, crack this controller. We're gonna go ahead and try to ease everything out. And then we're going to get rid of this ribbon cable. So we're just gonna pop it off. It connects to the back. We're gonna go ahead and remove the battery here. It's got some little hooks there. We're gonna slide out of that cover case. We're gonna pull it. Then there's a little tray here that we wanna get rid of. We're gonna go ahead next and, oops, threw a Q-tip at you. We're gonna go ahead and get this other little guy here. And we're gonna get this screw right here out. So let's go ahead and do that as well. And before we start pushing and pulling, there's one more cable we need to pull out, and that's this guy right here. So we want to go ahead and get that. And let me zoom in a bit so you guys can see everything up close. Hopefully you're picking that up. So we want to take this guy and want to pull it out. And we can go ahead and take these L2 and R2s off. Just be careful on the newer controllers. These springs are a lot more tricky to get in and to keep in. So you just want to be careful with those. So we've got everything loose that we need loose. So we just need to take our time and navigate everything out. Make sure, because this cable right here is in a little, goes through a little slot. So you just want to make sure it gets back through that slot. Everything should come apart like so. We're going to take everything else off. We're going to take the touchpad off. We're not going to use this, so I'm cheating a little bit. But if you were going to use this, we would take these off and we would dump these face buttons out. We dump the share and the options button, I was like, what's the other one, out. And we'd also take this D-pad out and the PS button. So we're gonna go ahead and remove all of that stuff just because I think that, you know, you want to see it. So if I were going to go ahead and clean this front shield here, the next thing, the front casing, the next thing I would do is get a little alcohol, which is important, and I would swab around these holes, openings here, just like I'm doing here. Sorry, I was out of camera frame. I'm looking around. I just swab as many of these openings as possible, and I don't know if you guys can pick up on the nasty that's coming off, but you're seeing it just like I'm seeing it. And it's all sorts of stuff in here, and all of this stuff that's in here can damage your controller. So we just want to go down in there and get all of that stuff out. Now I'm going to come back with a once over. That's what the paper towels are for. So I'm going to move this, and I've got a second set of paper towels under here. I'm just going to half that, and I'm going to go ahead and add a little alcohol to it so that I can go on top and do this guy, so we can get a nice cleaning going on. And hopefully you can see that and see what I'm doing here. And I don't know how well this camera's picking this up, but we're getting it done. All right, so we've got one front cover done. How we doing on time?
8 minutes.
Got 8 minutes. We got forever. So the next thing we want to do is check this area. I go ahead and take these analogs off, and I like to inspect here. This is a good time if you've got compressed air to blow it down in there. This actually looks surprisingly well, but this is an area where there's a lot of trouble. So I just, like I said, I check these for integrity, make sure everything is working correctly, clicking right. This seems good and tight. The actual board looks good. This board looks good. The rumble motors look good, so everything internally looks pretty good. I am going to get a little bit of alcohol and clean up in this L2R2 area, if I can get down in there quick enough, just to get in between those buttons where that press is, because there's probably some nasty down in there. So I'm just going to clean that out, make sure everything's nice and neat in there, let that dry out for a minute. And then I've got a secondary casing that he wants to use. He wants to use one of my glow-in-the-dark casings, so I'm going to give him that to use. So I'm going to go ahead and start the reassemble process. Again, guys, take your time here. So I'm going to go ahead and drop these L2s and R2 in. There's the other one. Make sure they're clean before you drop them in. You don't want to introduce any contaminants in here. I've already got these two set up because this controller was just kind of sitting and waiting. The next thing we're gonna do now is take this guy and we're gonna put these analogs on. We just want to make sure they look good, and these analogs just stick on here like so. And it doesn't matter which one. I'm gonna clean the front of the analogs when we're done. We got to put this guy in before we do anything else, which again, we got some alcohol, so we're just gonna clean this touchpad off, and we're gonna go around the edge really quickly. How we doing on time?
6 minutes.
6 minutes, perfect. So we're gonna get this guy ready, and to put this digitizer in, we want to take it from the bottom of the inside, or the touchpad, excuse me, and we just want to flip it around to the front. So take your time, massage it in. It'll go right in like so. We can get this guy in here as well, and we want to just run it right through those hoop areas. And let me look, make sure I send this cord through here. All right, good, almost. Is this one gonna go? Sometimes they go, sometimes they won't. I just have to see which box I got, because this might not work because this was a custom case. Let's see, maybe not. I don't think this is gonna work, unfortunately. So we're gonna have to bail out because this is a different casing, unfortunately. Yeah, so this is for an older controller, so it won't work. That's okay. Remember, I cleaned that other one, so we're not gonna panic. We're just gonna take this out, and don't force it. We're gonna take our touchpad out, and we're gonna put our other controller front back together. So the next thing we're going to do is go in here, and we're gonna add our PS button to this part that we cleaned up. We're gonna add this little part right here, which is the part that it works on. I'll take my time. Come on, come on. How you gonna go in there? Yeah. All right, we're going to put our face buttons in, and X is at the bottom, I think. This is the part that kills me. X is at the bottom. what is this one here? Triangles at the top. And let's see if we make it squares on the inside, I think. X, and then we're gonna add this guy here. I'm getting quiet, I gotta concentrate. So we're gonna put this guy back on here. Is this the one? No, this is the one, sorry. So we got that part in. We're gonna put that D-pad back in, and I'll alcohol the rest of that separately. And we will get this back together. So that part is looking pretty good. So the next thing we're gonna do is get this guy in here like we had it again. We're gonna take it through the bottom, bring it up to the top, lock it in. We need these share buttons, because you gotta have those, and they only go one way. So we'll get those share buttons in. Sorry guys, racing the clock. Share buttons in. We're gonna get this controller face back in here. We gotta get that. We gotta get that wire, that one cord in its hole like so, and it goes right in here. So we just gotta seat that so it sits, because if you put this back together and it didn't work, what was the point, right? So we sit that right down in there. We're gonna get our screw back in. We gotta put our L2 and R2 on. How much time?
2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Alright, we're gonna put our L2 and our R2 on. We're gonna clean them up first because they are nasty. So we're gonna get all that muck off of them, because we still gotta do this right. I promise you a clean controller. And we're gonna do L2. And we just wanna go on top of that little spring right there. So we wanna go on top and seat that guy, and we want to make sure we got function. Want to do the same thing on the other side. You want to go on top and you want to seat that guy. Make sure you got function. We want to put our battery tray back in here. We want to put our battery back in here, and we are racing now. Put our battery in. We want to hook it back in place. Get it where it needs to go. We want to take that last wire and we want to plug it back in. It's got to go a certain way. It needs to go blue part out. So you want to get it plugged in. Got to have that for the back light.
9 seconds.
And we want to do this. And we want to get this set back up. And boom, you got your controller back together. Now what we can do is do one more hit. We're gonna clean these D-pads off, because I don't want to do it with those analogs off. We're gonna rub it again. We're gonna hit the back. Make sure we get all that nasty off this back part here. Whoa, shake, rattle, and roll. And our controller is back together. The only other thing that I need to do at this point is put the screws back in the back.
Got 18 seconds.
But everything is working just the way you want it to work. So we had about 18 seconds to spare. We're cruising now.
9,
We're gonna
8,
put
7.
these screws back in. So we got it back together with about 18 seconds to spare. And you're just putting your screws back in. All right. Hit that, turn it off. All right, guys, so there you have it. Thank you, Kyla, for being so sweet. We made it. I mean, I could have pushed it and not put these screws back in, or put these screws back in and not check some of those functions, but again, it's got to be functional. And I want to make sure that all of that dirt and stuff that came off doesn't affect him gaming, and he should be able to use this controller until the next tune-up. And that's what I call this, a controller tune-up. And it'll take you realistically about 20 minutes to do this correctly. I just want to show that you could rush through it if you wanted to, and if you knew exactly where everything went, it can be done. But this is just a tune-up. All the screws are back in. I'm gonna give it another once over with the old alcohol here to make sure that we get as much nasty off as possible, because I just want to do that. I'm gonna slide these creases again just to make sure that I wipe it. Now I did wipe this off before, but I just want to give it one more once over. And boom, and we broke this thing completely down to nothing. And as you can see, it had life. We gave it life. I wanted to show that you can do this and it was going to be no problem. I do also recommend that you use some compressed air here, and that's just to get the rest of the nasty out. Now, some of the questions you might ask about this: is this going to make your controller perform like brand new? No. If you're hard on your controller and you damage certain things, it's just never going to perform. And I also showed you that all face plates and all controllers are not created equal. I was hoping that that other face plate would work on here because he wanted to change, but it will not. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Comment, subscribe, let me know what you think. That was fun. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.